What's up, my crypto legends? The price of Bitcoin is hitting a major resistance zone that if we do break, we could get an insane move all the way up to $72,000. This is if we do create a successful breakout that is going to be explained in today's episode. We're also forming a much larger pattern. You probably already know about this one, and that is a huge symmetrical triangle. This is also going to be discussed, and also we're talking about how you can trade this pattern. What are the levels that you need to take into consideration on the higher time frame? So let's dive in right away into the content. Guys, quick reminder, I've spoken to Bybit. Bybit, my #1 crypto trading platform. You get 20% fee reduction, okay? This is where I trade most of the time, but I also trade on 𝗬𝗫. 𝗬𝗫 has also a great bonus down below, and there's no KYC required. Just with an email and a password, you can start trading on 𝗬𝗫 right away. Check them out, guys. Links are down below. Let's go right away into the pure technical analysis on the higher time frame. Now, the larger pattern is a symmetrical triangle, as you can see. This is on the 4-hourly time frame, the 1-hourly time frame. You can see how the price is creating higher lows, okay, during March and lower highs. Now, this is already hitting 70% of the pattern, meaning it is ready for the breakout potentially in the next coming days. Now, usually from an uptrend, a symmetrical triangle usually breaks to the upside. Now, all the way up here to $72,000 is where we should be getting the breakout. If we were to get a solid breakout, of course, then we would be looking at all-time highs and potentially to higher levels. Now, the textbook technical analysis, potential zone where the price could go is getting the width of the triangle, okay, from the top to the bottom, and from that breakout, if that were to happen in the next coming days, that should take the price to $86,000. Now, of course, this is actually having a little bit of illusion. This is like, okay, if we do get that breakout, then no doubt all-time highs could be hit, but we know that we could always double top and get a sharp corrective move. So I'm really not a fan of trading these kind of patterns on the breakout because we have the risk of faking out, of course, and getting into a huge, massive pullback. Something to take into consideration though, if we were to break above $72,000 range, okay, which is where we do have the highs from the last few days, then of course this will be looking pretty good. But I would take into consideration that swing failure pattern from the all-time highs, okay, where it could just create a nasty wick and you're going to reject a few $1,000s. This is a shorting trade setup, no doubt, because we could fail basically that breakout. And if we were to successfully break to the upside, then obviously we're looking for that continuation to the upside. What would be the expansion target? So we do know the textbook target from here that should take us round about, $86,000 range if we were to break out here in the next 1 to 2 weeks. However, what is the expansion from all-time high to the pivot low? That would take us to the 1.618 sitting at round about $83,000 to $84,000. That is only if we successfully break above all-time high, this major consolidation that we've had in between March, in the beginning of April. This should give us that momentum only if we get a solid breakout here. So if we do breakout, we're trading at $75,000, $76,000 in the next coming days, right? I would say, okay, guys, this is looking good for more continuation after this round formation that we formed during the last few weeks in between March and April. This is higher time frame scenarios. Of course, if we were to move down from here, no doubt that a symmetrical triangle could break support and we're trading to the downside in the next coming days. So this is not going to be bullish if we do break down. What are the major scenarios here? I want to let you understand that there is a high volume node, naked point of control here, round about the $63,000 area. This naked point of control is basically the price action that was formed in between the 19th and the 24th of March. This consolidation area has left a high volume node. This high volume node is exactly at the 7/8 Fibonacci from the pivot low of March to that pivot high. You can see the exact confluence from that point of control of these days and the 7/8 Fibonacci. This, if we were to drop down there in the next coming days, we are also hitting the higher low support trend line. We've got a few days, right, of this range where we could get an instant bounce. This level is great for a long trade setup, either a scalp or a day trade, or just wait for those local double bottom, triple bottoms, just like we formed the last few days, to get that instant bounce, guys. This is an epic long trade setup, and the $63,000 range is a level of confluence to take into consideration. Now let's go through the lower time frames. Of course, if we were to break down here solidly with a huge massive move, yeah, we could wick down beneath this level, create a little bit of a reaction, but this will not be looking too great here. We are breaking, big levels, high volume node, higher low support. This could be looking very messy if you are going to go down to $60,000, $61,000 range, okay? But I would consider that swing failure pattern. It could be just testing this low, create that huge double bottom and get a massive rally. So that level, no doubt, is to consider a long position, all right, to take into consideration. Basically, if you do get the price action trading above that level, then consider the long position with very good risk management, of course, with your stop loss beneath the low. Let's go right away through the lower time frames. What are the scenarios here? We are looking for this bump and run scenario, this pattern right over here. On the lower time frames, basically this pattern has been formed during this week, right? During the last few days. The lower high resistance, we got the bump phase. We are just testing the lower high resistance. Looks pretty good. If we get a solid breakout from this level, no doubt that continuation to the upside is very, very likely. But what do we need to take into consideration here, Andy? If we, are going to fake out, how do I know it's a solid breakout? Getting here a solid breakout from the lower high resistance is going to be difficult to know if it is going to be a solid breakout. The main reason why, you got several lower highs right there at this range in between $67,300 and $67,000 range. All of this zone here where you got these lower highs is going to be strong resistance, not just because of the lower highs right there. It's proven level of resistance with the price action. When we do zoom out, it is the point of control from the entire month of March when we do get the fixed volume profile or the volume profile, okay, looking at March price action. That is a huge level. We got a high volume node right over here, which is sitting around about the $67,100 to $200 range. This is big resistance. This could get a really solid big pullback. So we are considering that level here for a rejection. That is if we do not successfully break above it on the first attempt. So first attempt right there, which I would take into consideration, is this pivot high from the dead cat bounce. Okay, put this on the white and take into consideration a fake out. Get the rally, okay, nice momentum and quick pullback of a few $100s, and I would be aiming for that possible VWAP right there climbing up. But it is a rejection point, and I'm only interested if it rejects. If you break above the point of control of March, basically, and this dead cat bounce high where you have been proven to see some resistance here the last few days, if you do this, this is game on, legends. This is game on. Of course, you do have some levels of resistance where you could pull back, which is these lows right there from Monday, okay, at $68,200. This is in confluence with the pivot high to the pivot low at that 618 Fibonacci, 65, okay, $68,000 range. You could get a bit of resistance right there, but nevertheless, it will be looking bullish for the next coming days if we were to get that solid breakout. We have a bunch of liquidity at $72,000. If this bump and run, pattern comes into fruition, breaking the lower high resistance, this means that we could head up to the highs. That is the target zone. The target zone is exactly here, the $71,500 range. We'll be just a few $100s away in claiming that over $1 billion of short liquidations. Definitely a possibility. That would be a sign of strength if we solidly break above 67,300 going to 67,900, 68,000, right? This price action will be bullish for the next coming days with high probability to get that leg up. Let's take a look at some news, guys. Remember, if you're interested in trading, I did manage to catch a few long positions here on Bybit the last few days, but getting stopped out at break even, right? I'm very defensive, but managing to take, a few $100s of profit, every single day with these small little movements, managing to get in, but getting stopped out overnight. Of course, I am very defensive and I'm just aware of the price just rolling down. Remember, you got 20% fee reduction on just Bybit. You also have 𝗖𝗆 if you want, that great bonus as well. No KYC is required. Email and a password is just fine. On-off ramp for crypto turning into euro, make sure to use the 𝗖 app, guys. Extremely easy if you want to change your crypto to fiat. All of those people in the European Union, you also have a link down below to check it out. It is totally free. Let's dive in here to some news, guys, because we do have April the 3rd final inflows for US Bitcoin ETF of 114 million. So we did have yesterday, some inflows looking pretty good, trying to pick up. Nothing compared to what we saw the last few weeks. All right, we having a little bit of, outflows, bit of inflows, outflow, inflow. I would expect this to pick up in the next coming weeks, especially because we do have the halving just 16 days away, guys. We have big breaking. Coinbase goes big on Bitcoin. Coinbase partners with LightSpark to integrate Bitcoin Lightning Network. We also have the former president of PayPal is now helping the largest US Bitcoin exchange integrate the Lightning Network. Obviously, this is bullish. This seems like that they want to use Bitcoin for much faster transactions in the near future, which is obviously bullish. We have here something very interesting, guys. Minted just $1 billion Tether here just in the last 24 hours. Every time this has happened, if we do take a look at the March price action, every time $1 billion has been printed, okay, from US dollar Tether, from the Tether treasuries, you can see how the price, look at here, the 4th of March, just as $1 billion has been printed, massive rally over here. Also, second week of March, we did have a little bit of a dip here on the 21st of March, but overall did manage to get those rallies a few days after. So we've just seen this here during the last 24 hours. Does this mean we're going to see Bitcoin pumping a little bit more aggressive, possibly with the leverage, also some altcoins? Definitely a possibility, guys. This does look bullish every time, we have Tether printing. This means it could be definitely bullish. Sellers moved their asks to $71,000. Good sign we go there in the coming days. This is in confluence with the bump and run pattern. Still see lots of bidders trying to catch a dip. Any dip lower is likely to be a bear trap based on what I observed, says here Bitcoin Munger. So we do have here the sellers moving their asks to $71,000. All right. This is, very likely that we are going to see that bump and run pattern possibly playing out here. Now, if we do get this drop here to these lows, I would still consider the possibility, because we formed a little bit of a range right over here, that we could get an epic bounce from value area low, point of control zone. If we do sweep up these lows, I would still be looking for the long trigger, guys, okay? Overall, looking for the momentum to the upside. Thank you very much for joining. Make sure to check out my Bybit tutorial if you haven't learned how to trade there already. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.